WRTV Streaming News is sponsored by Tom Wood Group.
I'm Nicole Griffin bringing you the latest WRTV headlines. There's a disturbing trend involving children and drugs. Medical professionals and police say they are seeing more kids accidentally overdosing, primarily on opioids. Indianapolis EMS reports the number of calls for children overdosing on drugs has jumped 59% in the last 5 years. It also states ambulance crews are also using the anti-overdose drug naloxone on children much more often these days. Figures show medics have used naloxone on 89 kids since 2019. 1 in 5 of those patients were 5 years old and younger. IMPD investigated 13 child overdoses last year. In 3 of those cases, a child died.
They're children that are they're just starting to become mobile. So sometimes the kids are just finding, as they would anything that they're finding on the floor, they're picking it up and putting it in their mouths. So they're finding pills. Sometimes it's just a little bit of dust that could be there from the manufacturing or the preparation of the drugs.
For more on this story, go to WRTV.com. If you or someone you love is struggling with addiction, call 211 to connect with resources in your area. Schools in Indiana will soon be required to have a cell phone policy in place for students. Governor Eric Holcomb signed a bill into law creating the requirement. Some schools already have policies in place, but others are now creating their own. Wayne Township Superintendent says they have practices in place, but they vary from school to school. Dr. Jeff Butt says he will be working with both parents and student leaders to figure out the best policy moving forward.
We want our students to have their voice heard when we were talking about this policy, and so we're going to be going around to our secondary schools, meeting with our student leaders to get some feedback from them before we implement and take a policy to the board for approval.
The legislation does allow for cell phones to be used in the classroom if there is an educational purpose. According to the new law, schools must have a policy in place by July 1st, which means it will impact next school year.